Change order, join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the executive for now and
Yeah.
get right into the budget. Okay, Lisa, you wanna take the through
Of,
budget wise?
are we going into executive session?
Not for now.
Oh.
The budget.
Oh,
We're gonna wait till Adam gets here for that. No.
well, each department head needs to speak of what they're gonna do for the year.
Okay.
Each department head
Yeah.
needs to get up and speak of what they're gonna be doing.
Pretty far first before we get into maintenance or what's, that.
No, it's just a standard.
All right, Dave. Guess you're up maintenance, Brian.
I heard the sheep to the wolves.
Dave, is your mic on? So they can hear you?
Good mates, fill that up. Wash it, buddy.
I mean, we're pretty much going off what we had last year. I've got for the road work for the Delaware County contract. Looking at estimated coming in at 262, 300. I think we budgeted for 265. Other than the road work and some culverts, there's no large projects I got going on. We're gonna budget for the culvert repair up on Green Cook. Hopefully before the OPWC grant would maybe be awarded. And Lisa's kind of broke that down into some different accounts for like the motor vehicle tax and some of the gas tax. And just your standard operating cost.
I don't have it real handy. What was the price for there's 3 culverts? You got a?
Yeah, the largest one on Needles, Delaware County estimated 25,000. And then the 2 on Green Cook culvert replacement with a catch basin was 15,000 apiece.
Okay.
What I've learned is the culverts they estimate are coming in a lot higher than what they're performing them at.
Right.
Because they just did that one at Trenton. I think they quoted for 25, and I thought I brought that with me, but they came in with a bill of only. Oh, you by chance have that bill with you, Lisa?
Which one?
The culvert replacement Delaware County did for us,
I can probably.
but they're coming in quite lower than what they're estimating us at.
You allowing something extra for Brown, maybe to do some repairs or somebody?
Yeah, and the overall. Like I said, we were at it broke down in the motor vehicle tax, the gas tax. So we've got some permissive tax. We got, repair and maintenance for highways were what, 200, 225, and then for the roadways with the gas tax, we're looking at 98. And then even the gas tax has the OPWC funding in it. So honestly, a lot of it is very comparable to what last year was.
Okay.
The only real up is the road work, but it's just broken down a little different.
What about equipment repairs, or you not looking to buy anything?
Not this coming year, because I've been speaking with Lisa about how we need to allocate the capital funds on setting funds aside for a new dump truck. And I know we didn't put anything in there for the capital outlay for motor vehicles as of yet, because we were talking about the 100,000 for a building set aside, and we were wanting to know if that is going to move forward in that realm. Or should we start adding something in for motor vehicles? So if I did say a new dump truck that's coming in 225 or 250,000 now, if we did a 2-year savings, then by year 3, we would have it. And that's something I wanted to just bring the light on how we want to go on that process, if it's that route, or do we want to try to budget for 200,000, say, not this coming year, but be 27. But I think it would be more efficient to maybe set 100,000 aside. So then the next year we budget for 100, and then we can meet that goal. At least that's the conversation we were having, that rather than hit you for the whole, the whole fee up front, kind of.
And Jason said that we discussed about road improvements for 27, that we shouldn't be that high as we have been the last couple of years. So that will help offset for the purchase of a vehicle too.
Yeah, I think we're getting caught up. Some of the things we did last year or this past year, and this is what we're gonna do this time.
And Jason, it was the Trenton Road culvert replacement
Yeah,
was $16,163.64.
that's what they billed us, and they estimated at 25,000. That's quite a difference. Which tells me with my estimates on these other culverts, there's some extra in there.
Yeah,
If we gotta manipulate something else or have an emergency. And then like we did this year when the OPC grant didn't come through last year, we had that funding for the emergency road repairs on Lewis.
I think usually when they price those, they price them in contingency of they hit some bad soils or something.
Right.
Well, the estimate was $25,517.05
Mhm.
that we budgeted for that culvert.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing real major on equipment or mowers or anything like that yet, but probably the following year. I'm gonna look into that, like she said, because the roadways, I think will be much minimal. So for 27, I'll probably have some mowers on there, and then see where we got to get to for a truck. This year I will price a truck to see kind of where they're at now, because everything just keeps climbing.
Okay. Any questions? No.
And I did take the Parks Committee budget requests and rolled them into just my request for the parks, but park budget itself, which based on what we had budgeted last year, we got nowhere near what we had set aside. So I'm pretty confident that everything that they're requesting and wanting to do is very feasible in what we've got in the park budget itself. Which of course I will monitor and go over. And so little changes here and there, but nothing drastic.
Now, under the parks here, okay, you got 25,000, that's your salaries when you're working in the park, I assume.
Correct.
Okay.
But like I said, the other ones following that, like the repairs, maintenance, and operating supplies, tools, equipment, buildings. We took what I had in there last year and encumbered the committee's wishes as well. Kind of make it more streamlined, so we don't have so many multiple accounts that we're pulling from.
How'd you come out on your repair bins? You had the hiccup with the dump truck last winter.
The repair with the Kenworth.
Yeah. I mean, in what you had in your account.
Oh, it covered it.
Okay.
We had plenty, and then we had that, and then a little bit extra. So we got some other minor maintenance is done with it. So I'm pretty confident with what we have should cover anything we can't plan for. And then, as you know, if it's not used, we roll it back in and set it up for the next year.
Did you include any part-time help in the cemetery this next year?
Yes,
So that's included in the salary?
yes, in the salary part of it.
And that's just for the mowing season?
Yeah. For the mowing season, and it's with the multiple accounts I have, it's kind of spread out that in the salaries, like it might not be just a grass mower, but if someone here is part-time, then I would utilize up to part-time hours. But yeah,
But if we cannot get a good part-time person, then I did put in, because there's so many accounts that Jason, I can take his salaries out of. I implemented a full-time person just in case he could not get a part-time person to do what he is looking for. So I did implement that. And I can take it back out if you guys want me to, but
A year? Or?
yes,
So his budget is cushioned to support a full-time person for the year.
correct. Yes.
I'm not opposed to that,
Well, I worry about,
planning purposes.
right. What if, I mean, if we don't use it, we roll it over.
Right.
If we find a great part-time person that wants to mow and do a little road work or whatever Jason needs, we have it in the budget. But if we can't find somebody like that, then we also have in the budget for full-time later on. Just to pre-plan ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. But
well, that's part of that funding of if we set capital overlay at the end of the year, that money's not used. I would like to set it aside
right.
for the following, whether it be mainly for capital improvements, truck. So I'm thinking in 2 years, we're going to need to replace the International. Not having major issues, but it's just little things, rust and hydraulic hoses and things of that nature.
Okay. Anything else?
No. So in the capital improvements, when we talk about that, you're recommending that 100K be set aside for the dump truck this year, this next
Well,
year.
that's still what we need to discuss, because you guys want to save for a building, but Jason's stating he needs to save for a dump truck
So it's
too.
not, you are, so my question is, can you do both?
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah, whatever way you guys want me to split up anything in the transfer out,
Mhm.
I just need to know.
Okay.
So I can bring it to a trustee meeting, you guys approve it, and then I'll transfer it out of general into the capital, either buildings or motor vehicles.
So you're comfortable with both and
Yes.
those?
Easy peasy.
Yep, guess that's it. I would just caution you and when we get to chief also, include enough for repairs. I don't know, I personally had a bad month with my stuff. And I can give you some figures, it's just stupid. What stuff costs, it's just. Computers shouldn't be on trucks, let's put it that way.
On anything.
Okay,
Are you gonna do Harlem Township Heritage too, their budgeting?
Oh, that's just, I mean, it was kind of rolled into the park budget because a lot of it is a lot of what they were asking for was involving the park stuff. There wasn't really anything at the Grange. They commented maybe a freezer if a freezer would go out, but that's, I mean, it's in there, but it's minor.
you got that worked out of the budget for the lighting, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. Yeah, what they were asking for was basically some money for Christmas lighting. I did put some in there for contractor work of an electrician. If we dive into as you mentioned, the how much electricity we could use over there.
right,
and trying to dive into the electric that goes around the trees and what it would take to get someone out there and try to dig into that. So I did set some of that, and I think some of it we can actually do in-house. Just some of the slower months and improve some of that, and but that's set aside, and as well as in the budget for site improvement is what it's under. So that it's kind of an umbrella of, contract work and what is it? But yes, I did account for all that we spoke of earlier.
And I'm not sure how much of a service that is that goes around the tree area, the tracks.
Well, those are the things I'm trying to learn as well. And I spoke with Roger about that, who was around when it kind of went in, and a couple electricians on what we might need to do to see where it's at and how it's all works, trace it all out, get it mapped, some things along those lines. But it's one of them, it's electricity. You just kind of dive in and hope for the best. I want to get a lot figured out before I delve right into a contractor, because they're usually a flat this much per hour, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you how many hours I work. If I can get a lot of the smaller stuff worked out prior.
Okay,
But I'm confident with what's in there. We'll make it work.
okay. Thank you. Zoning, Mike, you wanna elaborate on your department?
Sure.
Adam.
Mute him. Okay, basically, for mine, it's actually a lot less than it was last year. I've got plans in there for accounting and legal, basically for any kind of lawyer support that I need. Not sure what the accounting, I think it's just the label that's had, but I've got 5,000 in there for that. Training for myself, $1,000. I don't think I used that this year. Other professional would also be for the zoning department and the BZA and the zoning commission, any kind of lawyers or people we need to be bringing in when it can't be Corey. Like training we got for the BZA, training we've got for zoning commission if they would like any. Travel and meetings, $1,000. I don't believe I've even used close to that this year, so you could probably drop that down. Postage, I'd leave it at 1,000 because we do go through quite a bit of postage stamps. As far as printing, I know we didn't use $1,000 this year, but we might with plans that are coming in, possibly for any of the maps I need to print or get printed, or some of the developers bring some things in that I need to duplicate. So I'd say $1,000 would be fine on that. Payment to the other politicals, I'm not really sure where that goes. Lisa, you're pretty much.
It's Delaware
That's something.
County engineers.
Yeah, yeah,
Or regional planning, sorry,
Yep.
not engineers.
exactly. Payments to the regional planning and probably I don't know how Corey's involved in any of that, but the bonding, $50. I think that's our yearly bonding that they have to do on me, but I thought it was more than 50, wasn't it? I thought it was 150.
No, it's
Okay, $50, we're covered on that. Office supplies, we should be good with 4,000 we got planned, unless I have a computer or something go down, which it's brand new a year ago, so it should be good to go. And other expenses, it's $2,500 in there, and I wasn't sure if you wanted me to plan for anything for the car I've got out there, Lisa. If I got to have an oil change on that or. anything like
we
that.
can just put that in other expenses, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's where that's
Yeah.
at.
I'll do that in the house anyway.
Yeah, I think so, but I want to make sure it's covered in case something happens. Other than that, just got the zoning salaries. Mine, I've got the $15,000 in there to cover the zoning committee's meetings and the BZA's meetings and all the payment to the not the trustees, but to the members. And then the administrative assistant, that is where Ashley's money's coming out of, correct? And then that leave us for about a part-time person at $18 an hour in case something happens and we need to bring that in. Or if I need to expand her time and work her 80 hours. That's really it, unless you guys have anything. I don't foresee a lot of expenditures this year. Who knows when development's going to hit or if it does. I mean, there's a lot of questions and as to whether, especially with the accounting and legal and the other professional, I make a lot of calls to Pete Griggs, and I know Corey's free, but I don't think Pete is billing us for those. There may come a time when he does, but he's not as of now. I get a lot of advice and talk to him a lot, especially when Corey's not around.
As long as you think you got enough for the assistance you need.
So you do or you don't?
See, as long as you think you have.
Yeah, I think we should be good.
Got anything?
Not at this time.
It's pretty clear and cut
Yep.
and dry.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, thank you. Chief,
Okay, we've actually done a bit of refinement. We clarified where we're gonna pay a couple things out of, so I moved some money around. And it's actually dropped a little bit from what the original proposal was. We did budget analysis for everything we spent this year. We had department head meetings, talk about what we thought we'd need next year. We did make some significant cuts to some areas, left some areas the same, but overall, we put it in with the new 3-year agreement with the firefighters and enable us to forecast a little bit better farther ahead to make sure that we've got plenty of money going forward right now. We do have 30,000 in maintenance on trucks, Dave, just in case we blow a motor.
okay. That's. If you blow an engine, 30,000 ain't gonna get it, dude.
Oh, yeah.
We're
I know
not
that,
talking,
but yeah, no.
cost comparison to Cummins, the green paint,
Oh, yeah.
60, 80,000.
Yeah, but we're hoping like the last one, we thought it was gone. It's just got to be sleeved and it was fine. So it was a computer issue. So we're looking at it, but I mean, we also too, we're projecting probably being about 400 or so thousand under budget. So we'll have a good rollover plus what we already have. So we have money, unencumbered money in reserve, even with the budget request that if we did have something major happen, we could cover it.
Okay.
What's your salary outlay this year compared to last year? Just with the change in staffing?
Last year's salary outlay was 1.7, and this year it will be 1.8. And we didn't spend all of that.
Okay. And where are you, Chief, in your thinking in regard to capital improvements?
I am not doing anything with capital right now. I'm going to roll the dice that we have very good new equipment and it'll last. And I know there's been discussion if we have big additions come in or things like that, that we would figure out ways to, maybe get, TIF money or whatever to cover the cost of equipment. We don't even need to really start worrying about equipment until probably 2 or 3 years from now. And even if we started putting 100 grand away, it'll take us 10 years to pay for a medic by the time it's done. So that's going to be something that we'll have to cover if God forbid something happens.
And in regard to this facility,
In regards to this facility, this facility has a new roof. We've done a lot to this facility. It's just got painted. Brick is going to get tucked up. I'm going to tuck up the brick on the front of the station this year or this spring sometime. So this facility has probably got, another 5 to 10 years in it, but there's no way that the fire department, there's no way that we can cover the cost of a new station with our money. It would have to be a bond or a levy or something to cover the cost of probably like a new township facility, if you will, or whatever. But it's nothing that could even come within the realm of what we take in.
but you see no big outlays in the near term.
No, we have implemented a yearly station inspection, if you will. And we go around and that's how we found the roof. That's how we found things. This year, I think the only thing we really saw that maybe needed done was new windows up front in the original block building. But we chose to not do that. We do have the money in there in our building fix fund to do that next year, but right now we're not looking at anything major.
Did anyone trying to remember if we are we paying for have we offered to pay for education for schooling or classes?
Mhm.
Has anyone taken advantage of that?
Mhm.
Okay, I thought we'd implemented
But
that.
it's also, trustee, it's also brand new to them.
Right.
So once we get it, I do foresee one of our officers at least starting to pursue a higher education. But I have that built into the training funds. I did, after today's interviews, I did go in and jack up the EMS training budget. We do have a candidate that we like that might be another provisional candidate after we have more interviews tomorrow. So I did make an adjustment on that. We're pretty close to being ready for whenever you guys are, when Lisa's ready for the final one. We're pretty close to having it covered. And I say it has dropped a little bit from the original one we sent you, but not much.
Can you give me a updated one, please? So I can update.
Yeah, I can. I was just gonna kind of hold off till no, Lisa, if you want it, I'll give it to you. I was just gonna kind of hold off till we were sure, but I will keep you updated if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, because I use the temporary and permanent.
Okay, okay.
So
Yep,
whatever you guys give me.
As soon as we leave here, I'll send it to you.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And so our staff is pleased with the facility that they live in, with the equipment that they have here. And I'm thinking even just their living circumstances. Appliances, furniture,
We
all
so
that good stuff.
we bought them new furniture
2 years ago.
We bought them a new stove last year, and we're gonna buy them a new griddle this coming year. They've gotten new weight equipment. I told them they could get some more. We will be replacing mattresses next year because they're about 10 years old. And we are purchasing a gear dryer that we have not had. That will be installed before the end of the year. And so yes, they're very happy. They're pretty much, they've come to us, they really haven't come to us with much they wanted changed. I mean, I'm sure that everybody loved to have a brand new building, but they realize it's not feasible. So, they make do with the home they have.
Do they create any kind of a wish list when it comes budget time for you? Okay, so you're informed by
Yes.
that.
I've asked all of them. Yes, and they have, ever since I've been here and since Chief McKean's been assistant chief, we have purchased a lot of tools, a lot of things to help them do their jobs better. We just bought a new heart monitor this year. So we are keeping up. But because of being able to keep up and being good stewards the last several years, we've been able to cut a little bit and move it around to different places for other things. So.
Hey, Bob?
What are your thoughts in terms of the levy this coming?
My plan, thank you for asking, sir. I did, when I do the forecasting, can I say future trustee, Sanger, will that work? Well, when I did the forecasting, there was, like, my first meeting, and Dave can tell you, they were gonna take on a safer grant. To hire new firefighters, and like, it's not the very one your first meeting going, wait a minute, hold it. There's no, there's forecasting, but there's no true forecasting. So what we've done every year is we've had a 5-year plan that we've stepped out. We will not be asking, we were asking for a renewal in 26. And the reason for that is, first of all, we can make it go to 28 to the next one. Second thing is, we don't know yet what's coming. We know it's coming, but we don't know when it's coming. And I don't think it's fair to put the onus on our current residents to pay more and then someone come in and then you pay less. I think it's gonna have to be a well-timed, progressive thing. But for next year, sir, we're good. We're gonna renew.
Anything else?
No, if, clearly the goal is to keep our staff fat and happy, fat, smart and happy. And to
We
do
got the fat
everything,
part right.
everything that we can, to accomplish that.
Yes.
And to be competitive with our wages, with neighboring fire departments, and to continue to be that place that it is sought after for work.
We were lucky, like 3 years ago, we were lucky to get anybody to apply. And in this round of hiring, we had 26 candidates, and we're down to how many? We have 20 that went all the way through.
Yep, we had 26 to start with, 24 that made it to physical, 22 that made it to interviews, and 2 that one got a job, and then the other one decided this just wasn't for them. So we had 20 coming into interviews.
And we have
Really great.
we have people in other departments that want to come here. And I think that speaks volume of what the residents have, wanted to see us do. And, we're trying to, make it a great place to come to. We know we still don't pay a lot, but actually, when we looked at this contract, I had a lot of the guys said we'd rather have more people than more money. We'd rather have safer staffing. So that's what we've done.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, much of the stuff was under Jason's heading. Dave, you want to comment? Jason kind of spoke on the parks, but what's laying out here? Anything you want to elaborate on?
I could give you a brief on.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Right, I'll talk really fast on both, right?
Good, thank you.
With parks, we've identified about 16 different projects to start work on. And we're starting work on them in 2026. With most of them, we're not committed to completing them immediately. A lot of this is, what are you going to find when you take that service panel off the wall kind of stuff. We need to do that before we get into the serious budgeting on it. And I think Jason was, right along. He was saying right what I don't understand how to say quite clearly here, quite well. So we have a lot of that for that. We have a lot of planning on our agenda. And I'm not sure that Parks Department is the maintenance department is the best place for Parks Planning Committee to be bringing in consultants, experts, this sort of stuff to help us with the planning part of it, getting contacts out to the community. What are we trying to do? So we're for example, just one example, we're looking at the picnic shelter, that area, that northwest part of the park there, the far northwest. And what can we be doing there? What do we see for that 10, 20 years from now? Moving that direction and coming up with some plans on that. Right now, the picnic shelter is nearing the end of its use life. Well, this is when we want to get some people to give us some ideas, and then we can start getting focused on what the cost is going to be. Replacing a lot of that wood, tearing that out and building it essentially again. We can give you that money, but I don't think that's a good planning process. Okay. So in all of that, the bottom line is we're looking at something that's right at the $50,000 level. But breaking it all out, 20% of that is planning kinds of things that we want to get started on this. And we have improvements where we want to start the process of designing what's going to be there that will be improving things. The baseball diamond, putting a different backstop on that. I think that would really help as far as baseball, but how far do we want to go into there? Those are the kind of questions we want to start dealing with. I think that's a possibility here as we look at all of this. And between those, that's about 60% of our project. We've got the development and landscaping taking up most of the rest on that. So landscaping kinds of things, setting up what might be there at the old cement plant area, that landscaping across there in a way that we can start envisioning what could be there and how we might want to proceed. I think the other really big things for us that we're working on is we want to work with the idea of a 501c3 concept. We want people to be able to contribute money, donate, gift money, provide contributions, this sort of thing. And we're right now working with the Delaware County Foundation. So we want to be able to work with that. And this is going to take some energy and getting information out to people kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing we do with when we're talking about development on this sort of thing. If you have immediate questions on the parks planning part of it, I'm happy to go with those.
All right, go ahead. Do you have anything?
No.
Are you guys thinking about potential land acquisition? That is, where will future parks be in Harlem Township? And
Yes, absolutely.
And should we start thinking about how do we purchase that property? Or how do we talk to people and say, would you be willing to donate this property for this dedicated use? Having that vision and marching down that path, I think is very important right now.
Yes, very important. Looking at maps for what people are proposing for Harlem Township here, developers and all of this sort of thing. There's a lot of interesting things there, and they show us, where they want to put roads, where they want to put sewer lines, where they want to put, et cetera, et cetera. And we're not seeing anything that says, here are the criteria for what would make a really good park space of 20 acres or so, maybe 40 acres. Where do we have those around the township? How do we evaluate plots of land so that we can say, here are our top areas where we have some land, and if we can work things through, we can develop parks there that'll be really high quality. Now, this is not saying that somebody walks in and says, I want to give this land, and it may not look like much right now to us. We're not going to just turn our noses up and walk away from that sort of thing. But how do we set up guidelines so that people can work with anybody who walks through the door and says, I have a question about gifting land. We want to be able to let the community know we're interested and that we have a very clear process in place so that we're not just making stuff up in front of them. This can really turn people off. And this is a really good time for us to be working on this, to have guidelines in place so that anybody and any committee out there is going to be able to look at this and say, oh, if somebody talks to me about something like this, I need to do what? What are the next steps? How do we make sure that we respond quickly to somebody that says, I want this?
Yeah, I think if in the strategic plan, the Parks Commission has already thought through where they'd like to have parks in a park system, and then some developer has purchased property that is a part of what you've already said, well, we want a 25-acre park there, that the potential for them being willing to perhaps set aside that property for some trade-off in density or whatever at little expense to the township or reasonable expense would be great, but we have to have that plan in place. And I know this is not the place to talk about development, but that could cost money as far as
Yes.
helping someone with hiring a planner to help you with this process.
Yes.
And then if we need to start thinking about setting aside funds to accomplish something like that. So just planting seeds, Dave, at this point. I think this next year is crucial. Are you thinking about these things and beginning to act on them as a team?
I guess I'll throw something out there. We've been funding more improvements at the park and people enjoy it. But I've said this before several years ago about we may need to, township in the future, look at a small levy, part of a mill or something for those improvements, and maybe to do something like Granville did in purchasing land
Yes.
for parks and so forth. I would like to see that. So I hope that the township, the reason I bring that up is, as we spend more and more on the park, the roads, what Jason discussed earlier, the expense, when I started with the township 28 years ago, the chip seal on Mile Road was like $3,800. Now it's, I think, 22,000. So, and dollars don't go as far as they used to. So, hopefully the board in the future will keep that in mind and discuss it with parks and come to some kind of agreement or plan.
I concur.
And I'll say, Dave, with the committee, I've brought that up.
Okay,
About the levy and how we need to plan in the future if we want to fund
right,
direct projects, we need
Right.
financial backing,
Yeah.
not just pulling out of general and hoping
Right.
for the best.
Yeah.
But
Right.
as we grow and we get the TIFs and what happens, as we all know, I think a lot could come in the future if we plan accordingly. But I will say just this year alone, the park budget last year was about 160, and then we're down to 100 this year. Just by me getting a better grasp on what is actually being done and how it's being done, so.
right. Okay. Anything else, Dave?
Okay, so for America 250 now, shifting gears a little bit, throughout the coming year, we're going to be hosting a series of events. It's not like there's going to be an event here and then several months later, a different event. It's not like we are going to have a party on the 15th of every month. I don't see things fixed or inflexible. I think a lot of this is going to depend on getting information out to the public and finding where there's good response from the public and where we want to place emphasis. I don't see us trying to do a lot of purchasing sort of things. But I see a couple of different areas where we're going to need to have some budget in mind if we're going to go negotiate a contract with somebody to come in and provide expertise or be a reenactor or these sort of things. So we have a person who has skills and resources to offer. We want to be able to negotiate with them and let them know that we're not just expecting them to come in and do things for free that they've spent 20 years learning and how to do and building up all of this amazing amount of expertise. So we need to be able to accommodate some of that. And that's perhaps right now the bulk of the budget that I have out here. It's at that, 12 to 16,000 range, when we have about somewhere 10, 12 of these events where people are coming in to convey to an audience, to show the audience, to involve the audience in different kinds of skills that we have. Some of the lesser of the costs, things like for the 4th of July. I want to see a series of events, not just the 4th of July, but 4th of July. I'd like to see us out there, read the Declaration of Independence. Well, I think we'd also be nice to have some ice cream. It's really hard not to have both of those on the 4th of July here. But I don't know. We might be able to get people to come and make ice cream, but I'm thinking it's going to require some outlay of money on us. So that's kind of a difference on this. For some of the people coming in, it's hard to really pin down, this is money coming out of their pocket to come here and to make sure that their stuff is all in order and they replace as needed. And words like per diem kind of come into mind there. It allows us to negotiate at where they're at from where, reaching a middle ground to where we are. So I'm looking at those sorts of things. And, for an awful lot of our events, we're going to need to put up some signage and let people know this is where it is and when. Getting that information out across many different channels to people is really important. And this is what we're working really hard at right now, is trying to get things set up so we can communicate with many different people across the community here. But there's one other thing that I'm thinking that we want to be working on this. And before I get into that, I want to make sure everybody understands my thinking on all of these events and this one project in particular is that we want to think in terms of partnerships. I'm not thinking that the township should, be the only one that's laying out any kind of effort or funding or anything, making these sorts of things happen. That's I think very much not the spirit of this America 250 celebration. So we want to be able to talk about, different kinds of partnerships, working with other townships around us. If all of us get together, we probably have the resources to do some really neat events that kind of are too much for just a small township to handle. But I think there's ways we can look at this. And this is one of the things that we are talking about among the townships now, is what can we do together so that we all can benefit without having all of us having to put in large sums of money. Working with private sector stuff, I think is interesting challenge here. And one idea is, I think it'd be really neat for future generations to have some monument or memorial, commemorative in the park, here at the fire station. I don't know. I'm not even pinning it down on that. And something that just kind of keeps coming through my mind is, we talk about, liberty and freedom. And one of the big symbols that we have in the United States about liberty is the Liberty Bell. Having a cast iron bell. Okay, it doesn't have to be the size of the Liberty Bell. I've seen it and it's amazing. But more like the size of the school bells that are over there, and augmenting school and place where, you know, we've had education, and we had, you know, the community park recognizes, you know, the depth and breadth of the community, all of this sort of stuff. So that's just one idea, and I think there must be another 10 or 12 out there that we could consider. I'd like to see us look then toward 2027 to let people know that it's not just we're done now, well, go back to where we were. I think it's how do we keep moving, how do we keep moving forward here with all of this during, you know, the years following 2026. So I'd like to see that the township take a leadership role in seeing if there's some kind of monument that we can dedicate for future generations.
Okay, thank you.
So, just a couple things quick. American heritage, like, so I'm all for, whatever we can do to, make that a unique cultural element of Harlem Township. Not just for the 250, but beyond. I think that's good. For 250, as I recall, last time you came to trustee meeting, you said about 17 grand. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I wish Lisa was here, because I think that what I said was that should be in the trustee's budget. And I'm looking at the trustee's budget, and I thought that I had sent that to her, but I'm not seeing it represented. But we just need to make sure that when she comes back in, that that's been included. Because I didn't see it anywhere else.
No, I didn't.
But that was the ask, as I recall.
Yes.
And that's adequate.
Yes.
Okay.
I have some details. I didn't have them out fast enough.
No problem. So Lisa, when Dave talked at the last trustee meeting, he said he needed 17 grand for the 250 celebration. And I thought that I had sent that to you as part of the trustee's budget, but maybe I failed to do so. But we need to add that to the trustee's budget. So it's not coming out of the normal parks fund. Okay,
So 17,000?
yeah, for the 250 celebration.
Can you give me kind of a breakdown with that 17,000?
He's got it.
Okay.
Yeah, he can give that to you. And then if you would, Dave, would you do some research with your team and find out if you did a levy, how much do you need? What would you be asking for? And what would you use those funds
Park
for?
planning committee levy.
Yeah.
On, okay.
Yeah, for
Yes,
future
can do.
park expansion, et cetera. If you could do that homework for us, that would be great.
Can do.
Dave, I got a quick question for you on 250. I know that the county is kind of spearheading a bit of this. Are they supporting townships, villages, cities, or is every municipality essentially in it for themselves and the county is just providing a resource of information?
And by the time I got rolling with this, it already gone through the initials, the first several steps of getting money out to different communities across Ohio, coming through America 250 Ohio. And I think since then, there's been a lot of question about how would this work? Who would be doing it? And we keep hearing there may be another opportunity. And I'm not willing to bet on that. But if there is, we need to jump on it really fast. And I think I'm in a position I can do that. Right now, things like the Veterans Day Parade in Powell, which was on November 2nd, was got some support, small amount of money for a banner and provide handouts for people for that. So we participated in that. Which this was a good thing all the way around, but it was one of these that came up pretty fast. We got an invite, we were able to put things together. So I don't know if that's the way it's gonna be, if you're just in the right place at the right time, or if there's gonna be some things laid out. It is kind of, it's a bit frustrating for me, and yet that's the thing. The idea that we've got 2,000 political subdivisions in Ohio, and I don't want to have to stand in line with 1,999 people every time there's something available. So I kind of like the idea that the township needs to really be focused on what it can do with partners and private support. And we all need to keep our ears up so that when some opportunity does arise, that I can jump at that.
So I think what I'm hearing is there might be an opportunity for higher level entities to provide us some sort of maybe financial assistance when it comes to 250, maybe assistance in other ways as far as communication, publication, something like that, but we don't want to bet on it. We want to control our own destiny when it comes to that.
Right. I am at least that up, not much more.
Understood. Okay.
Thank you. Ashley, do you have any input on administrative things that you need?
Not really, when Lisa and I talked about budget last year, it was really, if I had any like major things that I needed, I mean, my computer's fine. Other than
Sure.
making sure that we have paper and pens and the ability for me to get everything I need to run my meetings. I don't really have any big trainings coming up. So I didn't really give her anything for that. Other than OTA, which.
Yeah, I included OTA and cemetery training next year and office supplies.
Yeah, but I really don't have anything else. There's, I could talk to you guys, about an administration conference that I'm gonna look into. But it was only like $60,
Okay.
so. I don't really think that's.
That was the one over
huge thing.
Dayton or someplace?
Yeah, I think it was in Dayton. I'll have to relook. There was something in Dayton and I'm like 99% sure it was the administration one. And it goes from, I had talked to you guys about it, but it goes essentially from administrative assistants all the way up to administrators, and it helps, kind of go through like how to, run a well-functioning office and some things like that. They always have representatives for different computer systems and softwares and things like that. So I'm gonna look into possibly doing that, seeing if it is even something that would be a good resource for me, something I could learn from. But it's, $60 and in Dayton, so I would just obviously drive.
Okay.
So nothing crazy, as long as I can have my pens and paper and a working computer, I'm happy. So.
Okay, very well. Adam or somebody can speak about communications. We've got.
I don't know that I have any additional color or context to add to it. I mean, we've made some strides this year to make things digital. So, I mean, we're getting a little bit more cost efficient and cost effective. So I don't know if there's any questions or any specific curiosities about it.
Just the one copy I got here, there was a couple numbers that got changed, reduced. Minor changes.
Our constant contact went from 462 to 360, in digital advertising from 600 to 345.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's the accounts. I'm sorry.
Oh, those are just the account numbers?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So the numbers stay the same.
I did it.
All right. Okay.
Sorry.
So are we okay with the website where it is? And do we feel like we need to put any more money into that?
Well, I think you guys received free training on
Yeah,
the
we
updates that are necessary to that. And then next, is it this coming year that we have the full revamp,
Yeah.
but there's no cost associated to that?
Okay.
Could have them, if we wanted to, we could have this year had them come in and we could have paid for them to do a lot of what Lindsay and I are already doing. You know, checking that all of our links are working, checking that, you know, things look really nice, like her and I have still been meeting when we can, we squeezed it into our schedules. We could have paid somebody to do that, instead we chose to do that time on our own, because it's something that she's strong in, and I had, you know, a lot of the information that we needed on there. So we didn't think it was something we needed to spend the money on. It seemed kind of silly and useless not useless, but it didn't seem like the right way to spend the township's money, to bring somebody in. So we went ahead and did that. We've been working slowly but surely on it, and then next year we get a complete revamp, and that is top to bottom. They essentially are recreating an entirely new website for us if we want. So that branding, like we had.
Yeah, so-
The branding would happen.
Branding will be done before you do that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
So
we would wait it out, even if we can't do it next year, if the branding's not ready, we
it'll
can
be ready.
say, we're gonna pause on that, we can use that next year.
Yeah. We had our first branding meeting last night. It went really well. And I think the goal is to have that process done by the first quarter of 26. And then we should be able to take that and move forward.
Yeah, they will take that branding and we will literally put our website from the bottom up.
Awesome.
Watch the video for that. Looks like we're gonna have a lot of Galena bricks and John Deere
Isn't that
tractors.
interesting?
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a
really-
great
it
conversation.
was really neat to watch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ashley.
Guess we're down to the trustees of general fund. Any discussion on that? We've got accounting and legal at 30,000, training at 3,000, crossroads at 60,000, Creel at $3,500. Township hall transfer out 250,000. Design for center village area 250,000. And then adding the 17 for the Dave's project, that brings that up, I believe, to $613,500. Any?
The crossroads is, well, at first I called Pete Griggs and asked him, hey, give me a ballpark for what you think it's gonna cost us to do these CETAs with Galena and Columbus and New Albany in the first 2 quarters of 26. And I think he said about 15. And so 30 seemed like a reasonable number when you toss in additional things. Crossroads is just finishing out their contract. It'll be hourly for the rest for 26. I'd be surprised if we come close to 60K. Cryle, that'll be the second payment on their branding contract. So we'll give them 35 for their work this year.
Okay.
And then 35 as they
That'll
finish it up.
Wrap that one up.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Town hall, this 250 is an additional to the 100 we've set aside, right, Lisa?
Yeah, 100,000 this year.
And the
250
250
next
next year,
Good
so
start.
that at the end of next year, we would have 350 set aside to get us started on a new town hall project.
Oh, wait, is that in a vehicle that we're accruing on?
Hmm.
Is that in a vehicle that we're accruing on? Like, are we getting interest? Is that money making money?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just tossed in planning dollars for this next year. I don't know that I think part of that could go to Center Village, or the bulk of it could go to Center Village, or any other planning that we deem reasonable. This is more of an acknowledgement that the township has to continue a planning process. And one of the focuses, the do-outs of the strategic plan will be on Center Village. And so I did toss a big amount of money at it.
I'm kind of curious, like piggybacking onto that, because we're talking about the Center Village area. And I know that it came up a little while ago, Jason, but like, do we anticipate in the next 12 months that we're going to be ready to talk about where the concrete plant used to be? Like, is that property even going to be ready for any sort of development consideration in that time
I
period?
mean, it could be. My goal is in the next, probably end of first quarter, have it leveled off and done, and it could be a building site. You know, that development would have to happen when that comes. But that also opens up of how much we were gonna utilize that property to build on. Cause we have all that old concrete still out there in front of it. Is that usable for parking? Some of it could be, some of it's not. So all that would have to encompass into the planning of that site development, which I think would have to start with an actual drawing of what we're looking at. Where could a building sit? Where could parking be? Things of that nature, utility wise. You know, I've been told the septic system could probably be reused. But I did not get that in writing from Delaware County. And Delaware County is pretty stickler on septic systems. So that, I think all that has to be pre-planned and then really get it in some red ink that I think by next year we could have a site ready to move forward if we have the plan.
And I think it's pertinent because we were talking about a grander planning for the area. And Parks looks at, well, what are we gonna do with the picnic shelter? You know, we just put money into the bathroom. So it almost seems like we need to holistically look at the area rather than piecemeal it all together.
I absolutely
Timing
believe.
falls into place, then I think that the money is probably well
As well as-
allocated for that.
Maintenance facilities.
Right.
Or
Yes.
expansion or movement or whatever. But
Absolutely.
all that has to encompass together.
And if we just figure out something on the trash service provider, that could open up that space as well.
Correct.
So, I mean, I feel like there's lots of different pieces that might be involved in that.
Yeah, I concur, Adam, and I think a holistic plan is the best way forward. At the same time, there are immediate needs that should be addressed. We don't need to put a porta john outside the maintenance facility. And so we have to weigh that going forward, but yeah, we need to move on some of these things.
Somebody asked online, what are the trustees setting aside for planning?
250,000.
I don't know. They were asking how much or what for?
Yeah, and so that money is set aside for Center Village planning.
Does that include the parks?
It could.
It'd be.
Cause he was
overlay of the
talking,
whole-
Dave was talking about the parks.
Yeah, I think that it could.
Did you, apologies if I missed it, was it discussed the dollar amounts that were earmarked at HTH? In the initial budget sheets that Lisa sent? I think.
Yeah,
that's the
Jason
same
talked
attachment.
about it.
Yeah.
Okay, cause those,
I briefed it, but they'd reach out to me with some needs and wants that I encompassed in the park budgets. A lot of it was park involved.
right, and I mean, you're hitting the nail, right? Like,
Yeah.
it seems like this just
Yep.
falls into
Yes, I
existing
got-
township departments. Okay.
Yep, and I'm in talk with them and they need things from one things I purchased it, tax exempt and all that, so yeah,
Great,
I've
thank
got
you.
them under the umbrella.
Perfect.
Yeah. Have we touched on everything we need to?
Lisa, are there other
Good.
items that we need to discuss?
No, so we can discuss further once I close out 2025 to see what we roll over the funds and see what we can put into the permanent appropriations, the amounts. Right now, as it stands, I have everything in there, but the American 250 and part of the transfer out. Because I have to stay under 75% threshold on the temporary appropriations. So once I close out, then I'll have a better idea of the amounts of the permanent appropriations that we are allowed.
Is there any possibility that you would recommend putting more aside than we currently have calculated?
No, because my fear is if something big happens, I don't want to put it in capital, because once you put it in capital, it stays in there for 10 years.
Okay.
Now, maybe when we get closer to actually doing, because this building thing's been going on 5 years since I've been here. discussions every year about doing a new building, doing a new building. So my point of view is, unless we're really serious talks about it, that we're going to actually try to do it, then I think that's when we need to look at rolling over more. If you guys have an idea in 10 years, you're going to do it. 10 years debt. Yes, we're going to do it.
No, we're gonna do it way sooner than that.
Huh?
We're gonna do it way sooner than that.
Hmm. Well, 250 ain't gonna help very
I
much.
know. That's,
No.
and that's my
If
point.
you're gonna do it sooner.
That's my point, Lisa, that I think that and I'm gonna speak for myself and I'll let the appetite is to do something sooner rather than later. And that there are needs that we need to respond to. The question will be for the board, do we incorporate this into a more holistic plan? Or do we try and meet some immediate needs in the near term? And the board will have to wrestle through that. But I would anticipate that that we pull the trigger on something sooner rather than later. And that's why I asked the question.
Well, I cannot give you a definite answer because I don't know what your plans are next year to spend. This, or 27,
Mm-hmm.
like 26, that 250,000 for 26. So how much are you gonna spend? What's your 5-year goal here? How much you guys want to plan and spend? And I cannot tell you, oh yeah, we're gonna have money. Yeah.
But I also think we're probably in a better position to be able to forecast how much money we have the potential to have. I
Right.
mean, especially through the economic section of the strategic plan, now we can say, okay, in 5-10 years, we might have this sort of general revenue, right?
Right.
Based on potential future development. I don't think that we had a particularly accurate forecast of that prior.
Yeah.
So are we going to pay for a brand new township hall out of pocket? No, I don't think anybody would have
Right.
any expectation for that. But can we look at bonding in a smart way of understanding what we can afford? Sure, especially if in the next 2 years we somehow double our bond capacity.
Right.
So, I think there's lots of moving pieces that would
Yeah.
also play into that.
Yes.
Okay.
So sorry, I can't give you an answer.
I think you still want to do the executive here.
Yes, it shouldn't take long.
Okay.
So I will move to go into executive session at 11:13 PM. Or what am I saying? 17:13.
Somebody put it on military time.
17:13 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual, unless the employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual request a public hearing by Division G1 of Section 121.22 of the revised code.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Oh, who's going to be
And
invited?
I'll invite Lisa to that meeting.
Okay, very good. Sorry. Yes.
Holiday,
Aye.
sorry, Jackson,
Aye.
Holiday.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Closed session.
So moved.
Can I have a motion to come out of executive session? Roll call vote.
Aye.
Back in session. Any further business?
Okay, this
Sure.
is an agreement that Berkshire.
He never signed up.
Mm-hmm.